The wreckage still smoldered when William Chen stepped through the breach in the hull. His tactical visor painted the scene in thermal gradients, cooling metal, dying fires, and one small signature that pulsed with life in the cargo bay's far corner. "Recon Team Delta, report," crackled Lieutenant Morrison's voice through his comm. "One survivor detected," William replied, his boots crunching over debris. "Moving to investigate." The Kryn attack had been swift and merciless. This civilian transport hadn't stood a chance. Standard protocol dictated he sweep for intelligence, tag bodies for retrieval, and move on. The war waited for no one, and humanity was losing. What he found changed everything. She was tiny, no larger than a human infant, though her physiology marked her as distinctly Kryn. The very species humanity had been fighting for 3 brutal years. Her skin shimmered with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed weakly, and her 4 eyes blinked up at him with something that transcended species: pure, helpless fear. William's finger hovered over his weapon's trigger. Every training manual, every briefing, every propaganda vid had drilled the same message. Kryn were the enemy, ruthless, calculating, inhuman. But this creature was none of those things. This was a child. "Delta, what's your status?" Morrison's voice grew impatient. William made a decision that would echo across star systems. "No survivors, sir. Continuing sweep." He wrapped the alien infant, Maya, according to the date a crystal clutched in her tiny hand, in his thermal blanket and tucked her inside his armored vest. The first months were chaos. William had requisitioned a damaged dropship scheduled for decommission and converted its cargo hold into living quarters. His combat pay bought black market Kryn nutritional supplements from traders who asked no questions. He learned to decode the data crystal, which contained Maya's birth records and her parents' final message: "Protect her. She is the future." Maya grew quickly. By 6 months, she had learned to mimic human speech, her vocal cords surprisingly adaptable. By a year, she was forming complete sentences in 3 languages: English, Mandarin, and her native Kryn dialect. "William," she said one evening, her bioluminescence flickering soft purple, her color for contentment, "why do humans and Kryn fight?" He looked up from the tactical reports he'd been reviewing. Off duty, away from the front lines, he could almost forget the war. Almost. "It's complicated, little one." "I'm not little, I'm 14 months old." Her eyes, all 4 of them, narrowed with indignation. William couldn't help but smile. "Ancient by Kryn standards, I'm sure." "Humans think we attacked first," Maya said, her tone growing serious. "But Kryn histories say humans invaded our colony world." "Both can be true," William said carefully. "Misunderstandings become conflicts. Conflicts become wars, and wars—" He trailed off, thinking of friends who'd never come home. "Wars make orphans," Maya finished quietly. The breakthrough came during Maya's 3rd year. Kryn matured rapidly, and by then she possessed intellect that matched human doctoral candidates. She'd been studying both species' historical records, cross-referencing dates and events that William's clearance level never would have accessed. "It was the Vestarin," she announced one morning, her patterns flashing urgent orange. "The who?" "A 3rd species. Look." She projected holographic data across the table. "The attack on human colony Proxima. The signature weapons weren't Kryn design. They were Vestarin bioweapons modified to look like ours. And the raid on Kryn breeding world Thalnesh. Human weapons, but the tactical approach was wrong. Humans don't target civilians first." William felt ice settle in his gut as he reviewed her evidence. Someone wanted our species to destroy each other. The Vestarin were expanding toward both our territories. With humans and Kryn at war, we clear the way for them. Maya's bioluminescence shifted to determined crimson. "We have to tell them. Both sides." "They'll never believe it. You're Kryn. I'm just a sergeant who should have died in a dozen firefights by now." "Then we make them believe." Getting the evidence to the right people nearly killed them both. William used every favor, every contact, every desperate plea to push Maya's findings up the chain of command. The human response was skepticism at best, accusations of treason at worst. The Kryn response was even more hostile. When William managed to smuggle a data package to Kryn diplomatic channels, their reply came in the form of an assassination squad. Maya saved his life that night, her Kryn physiology allowing her to sense the attackers' biosignatures before they struck. They escaped with minutes to spare, the safe house burning behind them. "I'm sorry," William gasped as they fled through the colony's maintenance tunnels. "I thought they'd listen." "Some heard," Maya said. "Fear is louder than truth, but truth is more persistent." She was right. Slowly, individuals on both sides began to question. A human intelligence officer noticed the pattern Maya had identified. A Kryn military analyst cross-referenced the data. Junior officers started asking why their enemies sometimes seemed to fight with unfamiliar tactics. The dam broke when a joint human-Kryn patrol encountered actual Vestorin forces preparing to deploy bioweapons on a contested world. "The enemy of my enemy," as the old saying went, made for strange allies. The armistice was signed on neutral ground, a space station hastily constructed by both species working together for the first time. William stood in the observation deck, watching the delegates arrive. Maya stood beside him, now 5 years old and nearly adult by Kryn standards. Her bioluminescence cycled through colors he'd learned to read like emotions: blue for hope, green for anxiety, gold for determination. "You should be down there," William said. "You made this possible." "We made this possible," Maya corrected. "You could have left me in that wreckage. You could have followed orders. You chose differently." "You would have done the same." "Yes," she agreed. "But that's my point. Humans and Kryn aren't so different. We both love our children. We both protect those who cannot protect themselves. We both choose compassion over convenience when it matters most." The signing ceremony was brief. Humanity's chancellor and the Kryn conclave leader placed their marks on the accord, officially ending 3 years of bloodshed and beginning an alliance against the true threat. Later during the reception, a Kryn diplomat approached William. Her patterns shimmered with respect, a formal greeting. "Sergeant Chen, I knew Maya's parents. They were scientists, researching cross-species cooperation. Their ship was targeted specifically by Vestorin operatives who had infiltrated our military. They knew her parents' work could prevent the war." William felt Maya's hand slip into his, a gesture she'd learned from human culture but had made her own. "They were right," the diplomat continued. "Their daughter did prevent worse conflict, and you, human, honored their final wish when you had every reason to refuse." "I didn't do anything special," William said. "You're wrong." This voice came from behind Lieutenant Morrison, now promoted to colonel. "You saw past species, past war, past propaganda. You saw a child who needed help and you helped. That's the most human thing possible. And apparently," he glanced at Maya, "it's the most Kryn thing too." 10 years later, William walked through the halls of the newly established Interspecies Academy. Maya, now 15 and considered fully adult by both human and Kryn standards, served as the institution's chief cultural liaison. Her office walls displayed photographs: human and Kryn children learning together, joint military exercises protecting colony worlds from Vestorin incursions, scientific conferences where both species shared discoveries. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened?" William asked during one of their regular dinners, "if I'd followed protocol that day?" Maya's bioluminescence shifted through contemplative violet. "The war would have continued. Millions more would have died. The Vestorin would have claimed both our territories, and a frightened infant would have perished in burning wreckage, never knowing that mercy could cross species lines." Heavy burden for one decision. "No," she said firmly. "One decision, repeated billions of times, creates civilization. You made the first choice. Others made theirs. Each act of compassion built on the last until hate could no longer sustain itself. William raised his glass. To your parents, they knew what they were sending into the universe. To you, Maya countered, you proved they were right. Outside the windows, human and cringe ships flew in formation, protecting the shipping lanes where once they'd hunted each other. Children of both species played in the academy gardens, their laughter mixing in the evening air. One soldier had found one alien infant in the wreckage of war. He'd chosen compassion over duty, humanity over protocol. And in that choice, he'd planted a seed that grew into forests of peace. The galaxy, vast and indifferent, continued its cosmic dance. But in one small corner, two species that had nearly destroyed each other now built something new together, something beautiful. All because William Chen had looked at a terrified alien child and seen not an enemy, but a future worth saving. And Maya, in turn, had shown both species that the best of humanity wasn't human at all, it was universal.